I was standing in the conference room holding the quarterly report I had worked on for 6 weeks when the attack came. My hands shook as Bradley, my manager, slammed the document on the table. "This is a disaster, Gina," he snapped. Everyone turned to look at me. My throat tightened. I knew that report was perfect. I checked it 10 times. Then Melissa, the co-worker I once called my friend, leaned back in her chair and sighed loudly. "Honestly, Brad, I warned you. She rushes everything." My heart dropped. Rush? I had stayed late every night, skipped lunches, even missed my niece's birthday party. But the real shock came when Bradley held up printed emails with my name on them. "You sent false data to the finance team. Now they're blaming us." He glared at me like I was poison. I didn't send those," I whispered, confused. The room was silent. Bradley raised his voice. "Stop lying. You're on final warning. One more mistake and you're gone." The humiliation burned through me. I felt small, trapped, and betrayed. Melissa avoided my eyes, like she already knew the ending of the story she helped write. In that moment, I realized something sharp. Someone wanted me destroyed, and they had already made their first move. I sat in the bathroom stall, covering my mouth so no one would hear my shaky breathing. "How could they?" I whispered. My thoughts raced. The emails Bradley waved around. Someone had faked them, but only 2 people had access to the shared drive where I kept the draft data, Melissa and Jordan. Jordan, our quiet data analyst, barely talked to anyone. But Melissa's? She smiled at me every morning, like nothing was wrong. That smile now felt like a knife. I wiped my eyes and stepped out, only to see her fixing her makeup at the mirror. She glanced at me through the reflection. "Rough day?" she asked softly, like she cared. "I didn't send those emails," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She shrugged. "Well, someone did." Her tone was flat, too calm, too knowing. When she left, I leaned on the sink and thought about the timing. Last week, Melissa complained that I was getting too much credit. 2 days ago, Bradley praised my initiative. Yesterday, she asked for access to my folder for backup. Everything clicked into place, and a cold feeling spread through my chest. This wasn't an accident. It was a plan. Still shaking, I walked back to my desk and opened my inbox. There I saw something new, something worse, a meeting invite from HR. Subject line, discussion regarding conduct. The HR office smelled like lemon cleaner and fake peace. Ms. Delaney, the HR manager, smiled politely, but her eyes were cold. "Gina, please sit." My stomach churned as I lowered myself into the chair. She closed the door with a soft click, the sound of a trap closing. "We received concerns about your recent behavior," she began. "Specifically, accusations of negligence and dishonesty." Hearing those words felt like a slap. "I didn't do anything wrong," I said, my voice shaking. She slid a folder toward me. Inside were screenshots of the fake emails, ones I supposedly sent. My name, my signature, my words, twisted. "I didn't write these," I insisted. "Someone spoofed my email." Miss Delaney sighed like she had heard this excuse 100 times. "Gina, we value honesty. We also know when someone is trying to shift blame." Her tone was final. My chest tightened. "Please," I said softly. "Someone set me up." She closed the folder. "You're on probation for 60 days. Probation. That meant every move I made would be watched. One slip and they'd fire me. As I stood to leave, Miss Delaney added, "Just fix your attitude and things will get better." Fix my attitude? Walking out, I felt something inside me break quietly. That was the moment I decided I would not let them ruin me. I would smile and make them regret every lie. That evening, as everyone packed up, I walked toward Bradley's office. My heart pounded like a drum. If I wanted to survive long enough to uncover the truth, I needed him to believe I was harmless. He looked up when I knocked. "What do you need?" he asked, sounding tired. I forced a small, shaky smile. I wanted to apologize for everything today. He blinked, surprised. "Apologize?" "Yes," I whispered, lowering my eyes. "I didn't mean to cause stress. I appreciate your feedback." My voice trembled perfectly. Behind me, I sensed Melissa slowing her steps, listening. Bradley sighed, softening. "Well, thank you, Gina. Just stay focused." "I will," I said. "And I'm really sorry." Melissa stepped closer, her fake concern glowing like a cheap candle. "We're all just trying to help you, girl," she said. I nodded slowly. "I know. I forgive you all for today." She smiled, victory flashing in her eyes. But inside me a storm was forming. Out loud, I forgave them. Inside, I carved their names into a list. Walking away, I whispered under my breath, "You think today was your win, but you just started a war." They thought I was broken. They thought I was weak, good. I would destroy them from the shadows. The next morning I arrived early, long before anyone else. The office was quiet, lit by soft blue computer lights. I needed to find proof. Something that showed the emails weren't mine. I sat at my desk and opened the server logs. I learned basic IT skills years ago, and now they were my lifeline. My hands trembled as I typed. After 10 minutes, I found something strange. 2 logins from my account. At times, I wasn't even in the building. My heart quickened. Someone stole my password. But something else stood out. The IP address of one of those fake logins. It was similar to one I'd seen before. I frowned, thinking. Then I remembered. Whenever Melissa downloaded large files, I saw that familiar address in the shared server tracker. A chill moved through me. I clicked deeper into the logs. And then I froze. The fake login happened from Melissa's computer. Before I could screenshot the proof, the office lights brightened. Footsteps. Melissa's voice drifted in. "Wow, Gina, early today?" I quickly closed the logs and forced a smile. "Just catching up?" She walked to her desk, humming. Too cheerful, too confident. But now I had something she didn't know, a thread. And if I pulled it carefully, her whole plan would fall apart. Around lunch, I found Jordan in the break room, quietly pouring coffee the way he always did, slow, careful, almost invisible. Today, though, he watched me with a strange look. "Rough week?" he asked softly. I nodded. "You could say that." He hesitated, then lowered his voice. "I heard things." My stomach flipped. "What things?" Jordan glanced toward the hallway before leaning closer. "Melissa and Bradley have been meeting a lot, behind closed doors." I felt a sting in my chest. "About me?" His eyes shifted away. "I think so." I swallowed hard, trying to steady my breath. "Why are you telling me this?" He shrugged. "Because it isn't right." I studied him for a moment. He looked nervous, like he was risking something. "Jordan," I whispered, "did you see anyone access my folder?" He stiffened. His fingers tightened around his coffee cup. "Don't ask me that here." His sudden fear made my heart race. Before I could say more, Melissa entered the room, her heels clicking sharply. Jordan instantly moved away from me, pretending to check his phone. She smiled at him. "Oh, hey, Jordan." He muttered a quick greeting and rushed out. Melissa raised a brow at me. "Everything okay?" "Yes," I said. But inside, the truth was growing louder. Something bigger was happening. And Jordan knew more than he wanted to say. By late afternoon, curiosity gnawed at me until I couldn't sit still. Jordan's warning replayed in my mind. If Melissa and Bradley were meeting secretly, I needed to know why. When they left their desks and headed toward the small conference room, I followed quietly, staying far enough back that they wouldn't notice. The moment the door closed, I pressed my ear against the wall beside it. Melissa's voice rose first. She's breaking. HR is watching her. One more push, and she's gone. My chest tightened. Bradley sighed. Good. The board wants someone fresh for the project. If Gina's out, you're next in line. My pulse hammered. So that was it. They wanted my promotion. And the emails? Bradley asked. I handled them, Melissa said, her tone smug. Everything points to her. Trust me. My stomach turned. Hearing it wasn't the same as suspecting it. It felt worse. Like poison filling my lungs. Bradley added, just don't get caught. I won't, she said confidently. Footsteps moved toward the door. I stepped away fast and pretended to check the printer. They walked past me without noticing. But now I had confirmation, real confirmation. They weren't just sabotaging me. They were replacing me. And that meant my revenge had to be bigger. Much bigger. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my apartment, replaying every word from that meeting. My anger felt like fire under my skin, but I couldn't let it burn out of control. Revenge wasn't rage. Revenge was strategy. By midnight, I formed a plan. Step 1, gather undeniable proof. Step 2, make them expose themselves. Step 3, strike publicly, then finish privately. The next morning, I walked into the office, calm, almost peaceful. They took my peace from me, so I created my own. I started by sending Bradley an email. Thank you again for guiding me. I'm committed to improving. Please let me know when you're available for feedback. It was gentle, humble, perfect. Then I went to the IT desk. Hi, I said, smiling softly. My account's been acting strange. Can you check if there were unusual logins? The technician, Chris, nodded. Sure, Gina. He typed for a few minutes, then frowned. There was a login last Thursday at 11:04 p.m. I wasn't here, I whispered. Yeah, he said slowly, and it came from inside the building. I felt my heart steady with quiet certainty. Could you send me a report of all account activity? HR asked me to track my work patterns. He nodded. Of course. Proof was coming, and when it did, they'd never see the next part coming. 2 days later, Jordan approached my desk. He looked pale, like he hadn't slept. Can we talk? He whispered. I followed him to the parking lot, where the wind carried the distant sound of traffic. He kept glancing around nervously. I can't keep quiet, he said suddenly. I saw Melissa go into your folder last week. My breath caught. Why didn't you tell HR? Melissa threatened me, he said, voice trembling. She said she'd tell everyone. I leaked client data last year. I frowned. Did you? No, he snapped, then lowered his voice. She made that up. But people would believe her. I believed him. Jordan wasn't bold enough to create lies. He ran a hand through his hair. They're planning something else, Gina. Something bigger. I heard them talking about a report due Friday. My stomach tightened. That report was mine. What did they say? That they'll fix it if you don't deliver what they want. The word fix chilled me. I stepped closer. Jordan, I need your help. I'm not asking you to fight them. Just don't lie for them. He hesitated, breathing fast, then nodded. Okay. As he walked away, I whispered to myself, good, one crack in their wall. And with one crack, the whole structure could fall. Friday arrived too fast. Melissa hovered near my desk all morning, her eyes sharp, like she was waiting for me to slip. Bradley kept checking his watch. I sensed it. Their plan was coming. I pretended not to notice. I pretended to be stressed. I pretended to struggle. At noon, I printed a draft of the report and left it purposely on my desk before heading to the kitchen. I positioned myself where I could see her, but she couldn't see me. Minutes later, Melissa walked straight to my desk. She glanced around, then opened the folder. My heart thudded as I watched her pull out a flash drive and plug it into my PC. She copied something, then she deleted something. Then she smiled to herself. I waited until she left, before walking back, keeping my breathing steady. On my screen, everything looked normal, but I knew better. That's when I checked the hidden software I installed the night before. A screen recorder, set to activate when anyone logged into my account. And there it was. Clear footage of Melissa altering my files. My hands shook, not with fear this time, but with adrenaline. The trap had sprung, and they didn't even know they were already losing. Next week, I would forgive them again. And after that, I would end them. Monday morning arrived with the kind of tense quiet that makes every sound sharper. At 10 a.m., Bradley called me into his office for my performance review. He didn't even look up when I entered. "Close the door," he said. I sat across from him, keeping my face soft and nervous. Exactly what he expected. He cleared his throat, pretending to be sympathetic. "Gina, I know you're trying, but this report you submitted Friday, it wasn't acceptable." I blinked slowly. "Really?" I whispered. "Yes," he said quickly, sliding a paper toward me covered in red marks. "Errors I knew weren't mine, errors Melissa added." I looked down at the page, letting my shoulders slump. "I'm sorry," I murmured. He nodded, satisfied. "Look, HR will meet with you soon, but if you resign quietly, we can avoid all that." There it was, the plan. "I appreciate the offer," I said softly. "Thank you for being patient with me." His face relaxed. He thought he won. He actually believed I was ready to quit. When I exited the office, Melissa was standing nearby, pretending to organize files. She smirked. I smiled back gently, whispering, "I'm learning a lot from you." She didn't realize the truth inside that sentence. She was teaching me exactly how to destroy her. 2 hours later, HR emailed me. "Please come in for a discussion about ongoing concerns." The walk to their office felt cold, long, and strangely calm. Ms. Delaney motioned for me to sit. "Gina, we've received another complaint." I widened my eyes slightly. "Another?" "Yes, it seems your recent report contained major errors." Her tone held disappointment, but also something worse, certainty. They truly believed I was failing. Perfect. "I understand," I whispered, folding my hands like a defeated student. Ms. Delaney sighed. "Your performance is dropping fast. We need improvement immediately." I nodded. "I'll do better." Inside, though, I thought only of the video footage in my possession. The timestamp, the screen logs, the server report Chris sent me. Let them push me. Let them build a full case. Because when I released the truth, it would destroy not only their accusations, but their careers. As I stood to leave, Ms. Delaney added, "We're watching you very closely." I forced a grateful smile. "Thank you. I appreciate the guidance." On my way out, I whispered to myself, "Watch closely. Please do." Every move they made dug their own grave deeper. And I was almost ready to hand them the shovel. By Wednesday, I knew Melissa would try something again. She couldn't help herself. She needed control, power, attention. So I placed a tiny camera inside a pen holder on my desk, angled perfectly at my computer screen and keyboard. At 3:17 p.m., it happened. I was walking back from the restroom when I saw her at my desk again. She typed fast, too fast, her shoulders tense. I paused behind a corner where she couldn't see me. When I returned, she jumped slightly, then fake laughed. "Oh, Gina, I was just checking if you left your charger here." "My charger?" I asked softly. She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just wanted to help." I smiled. "Thanks." That night in my apartment, I watched the footage. My heart thudded as I saw her open my project file. change numbers, delete graphs, and email the corrupted version to Bradley from my account. Her face looked calm, confident, evil in that quiet office light. But the best part, she spoke out loud while typing. "Brad will love this." My lips curled into a slow smile. Their trap was now fully documented, from her hand to her voice. The question was no longer if I could bring them down, but how loud I wanted their fall to be. The next morning, Bradley approached my desk with a forced smile. "Can I see you in my office, Gina?" I followed him in quietly. He closed the door, then leaned against his desk, arms crossed. "Your numbers for the Miller project don't add up. Again. I almost laughed. Instead, I whispered, "I'm really trying." He nodded quickly, relieved I wasn't fighting back. Good. Listen, the board meets next week, and Melissa may need to take over your responsibilities. There it was, the promotion shift. "Of course," I murmured. "If that's what's best." His shoulders loosened. "You're handling this well. I respect that." Respect? From a man willing to ruin my career for convenience. The thought was bitter. As I stood to leave, he added quietly, "By the way, let's keep all this between us. No need for messy paperwork." Messy paperwork? He didn't want HR to know he was pressuring me to step down unofficially. Another violation, another piece of the puzzle. "Of course," I said softly. When I left his office, I whispered under my breath, "You just made mistake number 4, Bradley." He didn't know every word was recorded by the mic in my necklace. Another tiny device I placed the night before. If Melissa was the knife, Bradley was the hand holding it. That afternoon, I visited the 18th floor, home to the board's offices. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I carried a stack of misplaced documents to make my presence look normal. As I walked past a half-open door, I heard 2 board members speaking. I froze. "Bradley wants Melissa leading the expansion project," one said. "But Gina's the one who built the foundation for it." The second replied, "Then why is he claiming she's failing?" My pulse jumped. "Because he wants her out of the way. Melissa's been pushing for this. The two are always meeting privately." I felt my breath catch. A third voice joined in. "If we find out they manipulated data or reports, that's termination-level misconduct." I took a careful step back, pretending to fix the papers in my hands. Their voices continued low and skeptical. They suspected something. Not about me, about them. When I returned to my floor, Melissa gave me a sugary smile. "You look stressed, Gina. Everything okay?" "Yes," I replied softly. "Just thinking about the future." She laughed lightly. "Don't think too hard." But I was thinking. Very clearly, the board was already watching them. All I had to do was open their eyes fully. That night, I prepared the first strike. Not the final blow, just enough pressure to make cracks widen. I created an anonymous email using a secure service, attached the server logs Chris gave me, the screen footage of Melissa, changing my files, and a short message. "Review the attached documents. These actions compromise the integrity of our technical systems and violate company policy." I didn't mention names. I didn't point fingers. I just forwarded the truth. Then I sent it to the board's internal ethics inbox. The next morning, the office felt different. Tense, quiet, buzzing with whispers. People looked around like something heavy, bahua, was floating in the air. At 11 a.m., the board sent an email to all managers. "Mandatory audit of all digital activity over the past 90 days begins today." My chest warmed with quiet satisfaction. Bradley's face went pale. Melissa's hands shook when she typed. By afternoon, IT technicians were moving floor to floor, carrying equipment, asking questions. Melissa approached me, her smile stiff. Weird day, huh? Very weird, I replied softly, almost like the truth is coming out. Her eyes flashed, with something close to fear. And fear, I realized, looked beautiful on her. 2 days into the audit, Jordan found me in the stairwell. He looked relieved. For the first time in weeks, they questioned me, he whispered, about Melissa, about the server access. My heart skipped. What did you say? I told them the truth, Gina, he said, voice steady. I said she threatened me. I said she used your login. My eyes widened. Jordan? That's brave. He shook his head. No, it's right. And I'm tired of being scared. A weight lifted from my chest. Jordan's statement would be another nail in their coffin. They'll come for you next, he warned. Bradley asked me yesterday if I've been talking. I nodded. Thank you for telling me. He exhaled shakily. I'm with you now, whatever happens. When he left, I leaned against the cold stair railing and whispered, Good. I need you on the right side. Downstairs, Melissa was pacing the hallway. Bradley stayed locked in his office. The audit was squeezing them, pushing them to panic. All I had to do was keep the pressure steady. Let them sweat. Let them unravel. Their downfall would come not from my hands alone, but from their own desperate choices. Friday morning, I walked in to see Melissa arguing with an IT auditor near the elevators. Her voice was sharp, breaking. I don't understand why you need my hard drive again, she snapped. It's standard procedure, the auditor replied calmly. It wasn't standard yesterday, she shot back. Her face was flushed. Why are you targeting me? We're targeting no one, he said. We're following digital irregularities. She froze. The word irregularities hit her like a slap. I walked past her quietly, offering a gentle, everything okay, Melissa. She glared at me, her mask slipping. Mind your business, Gina. I raised my eyebrows softly, like her reaction confused me. Just trying to help. She stormed off, heels stabbing the floor. An hour later, Bradley called her into his office. The walls were thin. Voices weren't meant to carry, but they did. Why would your login show multiple attempts to access restricted documents? He growled. I don't know, she snapped. Maybe someone spoofed me. You said Gina was the problem. She is. Their fight grew louder. Chairs scraped. Someone slammed a folder. I smiled at my screen. This wasn't revenge yet. This was simply gravity. And they were tripping over their own lies. By Monday, the pressure was crushing them. Bradley approached my desk with a stiff smile that didn't reach his eyes. Gina, can we talk? He asked. I followed him into a quiet hallway. His voice dropped low. Listen, the audit is getting messy. They're asking questions about everyone, including you. I widened my eyes innocently. Me? Yes, he said. So I need you to back me up. I blinked slowly. Back you up? How? He cleared his throat. Sweat dotted his forehead. Just confirm that you made some mistakes and that Melissa helped you fix them. My heart thudded with disbelief. He was trying to rewrite the story. Again. I'm not sure that's true, I whispered. It is, he insisted, voice shaking a little. And if you don't support the narrative, HR might assume you're lying. I tilted my head. Why would they assume that? Because, he snapped, your work has been questionable lately. There it was. The last attempt to control me. I nodded slowly. Okay, I'll think about it. Relief washed over his face. Good. Thank you. But what he didn't know was that every word of that conversation was recorded. And it would be the rope he'd hang himself with. At noon, my inbox chimed with a message that made my heartbeat skip. Gina Harper, please report to the 18th floor boardroom at 2 p.m. The moment I read it, Melissa looked over. Her eyes narrowed. Why are you going up there? I'm not sure, I said softly. Bradley appeared from his office, pale. "Did you get a meeting invite?" he demanded. "Yes," I replied. "Did you?" He didn't answer. His silence was loud. At 1:50 p.m., I walked towards the elevator with steady steps. My hands felt warm, not from fear, but from certainty. This was the turn. When I entered the boardroom, all 7 members sat around the long table. Their expressions were serious, but not hostile. "Gina," the chairman said, "please sit." I did. "We've reviewed several digital irregularities connected to your account," he continued. My breath caught, but then he added, "And we've also reviewed evidence that suggests those irregularities were not caused by you." A quiet rush of relief washed over me. They gestured toward a laptop. "We need you to walk us through everything you know. Every detail. Every suspicion." I nodded. My voice came out steady. "I will." As I began explaining, I felt something powerful rise in my chest. This was no longer a fight for survival. This was the beginning of the end. For them. I stood in the hallway outside the auditorium, my palms warm and steady. The company's big quarterly meeting was minutes away. Everyone would be there. Board members, directors, new hires, and most important, Damon, Clara, and Everett. The 3 people who thought they buried me. The 3 people who didn't know they were already sinking. As I walked inside, I felt dozens of eyes follow me. My heels clicked softly on the polished floor. Damon stared at me like he had seen a ghost. Clara whispered something sharp under her breath. Everett pretended not to notice me at all, flipping through papers with shaky hands. I sat in the front row. The CEO stepped to the podium. "Before we begin," he said, smiling at the crowd, "we want to acknowledge the outstanding work of one of our analysts. Someone who exposed irregularities that saved this company millions." My chest rose as the room shifted. Gina Cole. I stood forcing a soft, humble smile. I heard claps, real ones. Damon's jaw tightened. Clara blinked, confused. Everett's hand froze in midair. My voice shook slightly as I said, "Thank you, I'm grateful to help wherever I can." I forgave them publicly, with that smile. But inside I knew today was the day their private destruction truly began. As soon as the meeting ended, Damon rushed toward me like a storm. His voice came out forced and wobbly. "Gina, hey, great news in there. Didn't know you were working on, all that." I looked at him calmly. "Yes, you did." He swallowed, eyes darting. He wasn't used to losing control. Damon had always acted like the building belonged to him. But today, he was sweating. That was before HR called him in. I watched from the glass hallway as he entered the office, shoulders stiff. 10 minutes later, I saw him arguing with them. He kept pointing to a document, shaking his head, raising his voice. HR remained still. Another 10 minutes passed. He stepped out. His face was pale. He didn't look like Damon anymore. He looked smaller, almost breakable. He stormed out of the building without speaking to anyone. When I walked by the HR office, one of the managers quietly said to me, "Your information was accurate. He won't be supervising analysts anymore. We've reassigned him, for now." I nodded politely and kept walking. My heart remained steady, firm, not cruel. Damon wasn't ruined yet, but the first crack had already appeared. Clara approached me in the parking garage. Her steps were uneven, like she had forgotten how to walk in heels. "Gina," she started, but her voice broke. "Please. I don't know what you told them, but you have to understand, I didn't mean any harm." I lifted a brow. "You told management I was emotionally unstable and struggling to keep up. You tried to make them replace me." Her lips trembled. "That was Damon's idea. He said it was the only way to protect ourselves." I almost laughed. "Protect yourselves from what? The truth?" Her eyes filled with panic. "They're reviewing all my correspondence with him, all of it. They think I covered his mistakes." She wasn't lying. I could see it in every shaky breath she took. Clara, I whispered softly, I forgave you publicly. I won't embarrass you in front of anyone. But what happens next is up to your own record. She grabbed my arm. Gina, please, help me. I gently pulled away. I'm not hurting you, Clara. Your decisions are. As I walked off, she slid down against the wall, holding her head with both hands. Another piece of the puzzle falling exactly where it needed to. Everett never confronted me. That wasn't his style. He preferred silence, secret meetings, whispered lies. So when he quietly resigned 2 days later, the office exploded with rumors. I found out the truth before anyone else. The internal audit team discovered that Everett had approved the manipulated reports long before blaming them on me. He tried to deny it, then he tried to shift the blame again. But the evidence was clean, time-stamped, and sharp as glass. His desk was cleared out before lunch. I watched him walk out of the office with a cardboard box in his arms, eyes forward, jaw clenched. He never looked my way. But when he reached the exit door, he paused for a second, just one. His shoulders sagged like the weight finally crushed him. Then he left. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I simply stood there, quiet, feeling the storm pass. A few co-workers approached me afterward, asking how I stayed so calm through everything. I just focused on the truth, I said softly. But inside I knew the truth alone hadn't saved me. It was the plan. And there was one final piece left, Damon. The company called another meeting, smaller but more serious. Directors only. I was invited. When I walked in, Damon was already seated at the far end of the table. His eyes were empty, defeated. Clara sat 2 seats from him, hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. Everett's chair was empty, permanently. The director addressed us. We completed the investigation. Gina, your reports were flawless. Damon and Clara knowingly mishandled data and misled the team. Everett approved false figures. Silence. Damon tried to speak. It was a misunderstanding. It wasn't. The director cut in. Your actions endangered the company. We're moving forward with disciplinary actions. Clara sniffed quietly. Damon stared at the table. It was the first time I had ever seen him defeated. They weren't fired on the spot, but their power was gone. Titles stripped, authority removed, futures uncertain. When the meeting ended, Damon stood and whispered, You destroyed us. I met his eyes, calm, steady. No, I said. You destroyed yourselves. I just stopped covering it. I walked away, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders. I forgave them publicly, smiled at them, spoke kindly, but privately. I let the truth finish what they started. And for the first time in a long time, I finally felt free.